everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining this session on Illuminate, where we are going to talk about the digitization of school admissions today afternoon. But before we kickstart the session, let me share with the viewers about NoPaperForms and what we do. So we are India's largest enrollment automation platform, and currently we work with more than 650 institutions in the higher ed segment and close to around 1,200 schools in the K-12 segment in streamlining their inquiry to enrollment journey. So in this session, we will cover how NoPaperForms is marching ahead and supporting schools to digitize their end-to-end enrollment and why it is necessary to digitize the parents' inquiry to enrollment journey, how schools can do it seamlessly and effectively, and thereby they can provide right experience and enhance their brand equity. So let's begin with the session. I am Vikram Shah. I am the Chief Business Officer at NoPaperForms, and I manage the business for NoPaperForms. With me, I have my colleague. Her name is Ash Babel, and she is the Senior Manager at UniApply, a product of NoPaperForms.
Thank you, Vikram. Hello, everyone. So I'd like to tell you a little about UniApply. UniApply is an admission platform. So it's a school admission app, which is transforming school admissions across country. And we have automated more than 1,000 schools this year. So yeah, it's going great.
Thank you so much, Ash. So let's jump into the discussion straight away, because I think it's a very, very important topic for all the viewers, all the parents and school participants, because K-12 education is close to everyone's heart when you decide where you have to put your child into a school. And if you look at from India's point of view, India is the second largest school ecosystem in the world. So from an overall point of view of our population, as well as the number of schools which are there in India, we are the second largest across the globe. And hence, before we just kickstart, we would like to run a poll with respect to the number of schools in India, if you have to guess. So can you just quickly launch the poll, Ash?
Sure. So yeah, we have a poll here. And it asks, how many schools are there in India? 5 to 10 lakhs, 10 to 15 lakhs, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, or more than 25 lakhs? We'll just wait for everyone to enter their answers. So I think, Vikram, this particular question is going to frame the discussion that we are going to have ahead.
Exactly. I think, Ash, it is very important that the viewers as well as everyone understand that how many schools are there and what is to be done with respect to digitizing them, at least from an inquiry to enrollment process. Because I think if we have to look back largely from a point of view of during COVID, most of the schools actually digitize themselves with respect to the learning outcome, which is how to deliver their lesson online. But with respect to selection and admission process, I think there is a lot which needs to be done to actually digitize it.
Right.
So we have the results here, Ash.
So I'll share the results with everyone.
Okay. So actually 41% of the population is saying that the schools are in the range of 15 to 20 lakhs. And actually it is right that if you look at in totality, and this is the data of 2019, which is available on the government report. So we have 25.1 crore students who currently study in Indian schools across India. And out of that, if you look at the split of schools, there are 15.5 lakh schools in India managing this 25.1 crore students in India. And if you see the split with respect to the private and public schools as well as private and public share of students, it's almost equal. So in terms of students, but in terms of schools, if you see, out of 15.5 lakh schools, 30% of the schools are in the private sector and 70% of the schools are in public sector. But whereas if you look at in terms of students managed by this school, it's almost 48 to 52%. 48% of the students study in these private schools and 52% of the students actually study in public school. So that's broadly the number with respect to our poll, and thank you so much for participating in the poll. If we move forward and look at how the growth of private schools in India has mushroomed over last 25 years. So if you look at the slide in deep, that in the last 25 years, the jump has been from, if you look at the numbers, from actually 9% share of private schools. It is now, if you look at broadly, it is more than for 35%. So why? What is the reason that the private schools have actually grown in the last few years? So there are clearly few reasons why private schools have grown in the last few years. One is clearly there is an increase in the disposable income in the hands of parents. So they can afford to send their child in the private sector school. The other is the mobility of parent. As we observe around us, that there is a lot of parent movement from tier B city to tier A city due to work. And you can clearly see that that is one of the big reasons that there is a movement, and more private schools have come in. And third is the big opportunity with respect to ensuring the kind of population which we have. And to cater to that population, many private schools have come in play in the last few years, and this number is growing day by day. The other big factor with respect to the private education is that in the last few years, we have seen that the boards like Cambridge board, the IB board, these boards have also come into play in India, and more schools are actually offering this as well, aside of our regular state board schools or a CBSE or a ICSE curriculum. So that has also played a very important role in actually growing the private sector schools in India. Now, if you look at broadly from a point of view of parents, that what is a parent journey in selecting a school, and this is very, very important, largely from a point of view to understand that how parent actually look at in terms of schools and what is the process they follow, if you have to look at it largely from their point of view when they think about selecting a school for their child. So discovery and exploring the school. Why it is very important to discover and explore schools. Clearly, if you look at in terms of mushrooming of the schools as well as the way schools are growing, you can clearly see that in a particular locality, there will be at least 25 to 30 schools within a vicinity of 5 kilometers. So when you look at those schools, as a parent, you need to look at what are the things which they are offering. How parents can actually understand various types of curriculum offered by the schools, what kind of facility they are offering, what is the fee structure, what is the student and teacher ratio. So explore becomes a very important piece for a parent to understand more about the school, and in deciding what kind of school they would like actually to select for their child. Then comes the decision with respect to deciding and shortlisting. And largely, if you look at it, what parents do in terms of when they decide which school to shortlist, they look at following 3-4 criteria in a broader terms. One, definitely they look at the academic orientation of the school, because which is very, very important from a parent and child's growth point of view in the school. They look at what kind of curriculum the school is offering. Again, this curriculum plays an important role with respect to looking at how the child will be shaped up and what kind of career opportunities a child will have as the child grow up and complete that schooling. They also look at the infrastructure, what kind of infrastructure the school is providing. So these are the kind of some of the criterias, and additionally parent look at what kind of extracurricular activities a school has to provide, because these criteria are very, very relevant for a parent to shortlist a school. Once you explore and discover, then you actually look at how to decide and shortlist. There comes the final stage with respect to apply and enroll. So when you look at this lens with respect to applying and enrolling, you look at what is the application and selection criteria for the school? What is the process? What are the timelines? Largely as a parent, you need to go through those timelines. You need to also look at what is the transparency of the school with respect to the selection criteria, because that also plays a very important role in the mind of a parent by selecting and applying to a school. And they also look at what is the efficiency in terms of how they manage their admissions, how they manage their experience, how they manage end to end the journey of a parent. So it becomes very, very imperative for a parent to select a school by going through the discovery phase, then deciding phase, and then the apply phase. Now, if you look at this in a broader lens with respect to the process of discovery, what is the process? That how parent and school discover each other. So you can clearly see, and when you think about this more from a point of view that both the application and admission process for a school is a tedious process for both parents and schools. On one side, the parent is looking for various kinds of schools. On the other side, school have to actually follow the entire process in terms of selecting the right kind of child in the school. Now, if you look at this journey with respect to a discovery, you can clearly see on the left hand side the school discovery by a parent. So parent can actually do a Google search. So as a parent, I can go on Google, I can type schools near me, best CBSE schools, best IB schools. So there are various kinds of keywords which I can type on Google search, and that will help me to understand more about the schools near me. If I know, and largely if you see the marketing of school, aside of all other aspects, there is one bigger aspect is the word of mouth, whereby parent will definitely look at speaking to a friend or a relative or a colleague or a neighbor to understand that where their children are going. So that's another piece through which a parent discovers a school. The third is the school website. If you have to look at it from that lens, if I know the school name as a parent, I can type and go to the school website and understand more about the school, provided there is a school website actually for that school. And to our surprise, when we are working with now more than 1,200 schools in Delhi, NCR, Maharashtra, and parts of India, the idea is that when we started looking at Delhi admissions in the last couple of years, there are 1,700 odd private schools in Delhi, and you won't believe, most of you, that more than 50% of the schools don't have a website. They are offering online programs. During COVID, they've done entire teaching online, but they don't have a website. Imagine how a parent would discover a school aside of actually walking into the school, because if you don't have a website, they will not be able to understand anything about you as a school. Now, if you look at largely from other aspects, so you can do Google search, you can go on school website, you can actually look at school through word of mouth. You can also look at various campaigns run by schools. Many schools actually now run a lot of digital marketing campaigns to actually drive parents and make them aware about their brand presence. So you can actually consume one of those digital marketing campaigns and understand more about the school. School do a lot of PR branding activities as well as outreach events. So a lot of schools do all that. And that is another touch point with respect to discovering a school. And last but not the least, in your vicinity, if you are looking at discovering a school, you can always walk into a school and understand more about the school. Now, if you look at this entirely from a parent's point of view, that how parent is discovering a school, largely from a school's discovery point of view on the right hand side, the touch point is only to where a school actually talks to parent face to face largely. It's walk-in as well as outreach events. So where actually a school administrator or admission team member or a marketing team member or a counselor can actually talk to parent face to face. Aside of that, all the other touch points with respect to discovery of a school by a parent is online, either through Google search or on school website or digital marketing campaigns or your PR and branding articles and so on and so forth. So it is very, very imperative for a school to actually give that kind of weightage which is required in entirely online campaigns as well, because majority of the parents are actually looking at your brand presence on various through various online means. And hence, from a school's point of view, it is very, very important that school look at how they project themselves online on various mediums, including their website, because it is very, very important. So this is largely, if you look at from a point of view of process of discovering a school by a parent and vice versa.
So Vikram, I have a question here.
Sure.
So as we talked about school website, and you mentioned that there are a lot of schools who do not have school website right now. So do you suggest anything to them that how they can create their brand presence, or should they create a website as soon as possible?
It is very, very important and good question, Ash, because as I said that during COVID, everything went online, all schools went online. All of these schools, which is more than 50%, and I'm talking about are actually Delhi as a city, they should actually create a website where they can actually put in the basic information about a school so that a parent who's actually looking at school through an online means can come and actually consume information about the school. So it is my request to all those schools should create at least a basic website to give information to the parents who are actually looking for admissions. Now, if you look at the next step, so in the previous couple of slides, we looked at that how parents actually are deciding with respect to uh, selecting a school in terms of discovering and exploring, in terms of deciding and shortlisting, and in terms of actually applying and enrolling. Now, there are various means through which a parent can actually discover a school, which we looked at on the last slide. Now, on this slide, we are largely talking about how the decision-making, shortlisting, and in the application process works, largely. And this is one of the most time-consuming and tedious process for both schools and parents. Digitizations of admissions and enrollment processes can not only save a lot of headache and effort, but also helps creating a transparent and structured solution for student selection. And it also helps parents to understand more about it in an online way. And this can be easily done with a funnel approach where inquiries are managed in a centralized platform, and the entire funnel from inquiries to enrollment is enabled for all the teams in the school with complete visibility. And hence, if you look at it largely from a point of view of this decision-making, shortlisting, and application process, you can see that in terms of explore, parents spend at least 2 to 4 days in terms of exploring schools, and then shortlisting, applying, documentation, upload, and then final enrollment. If you look at this entire piece, the processing time from starting to explore school and finally you are actually applying to a school is anywhere in between 20 to 25 days. And this is a very, very tedious process for a parent. And hence, we feel that schools should actually do a lot of legwork with respect to ensuring that they manage the perception of the parent in this entire process to streamline their admissions and ensuring that there is their brand equity. So if you look at this entire process, the perception of the parent in this entire process is not that great. And why I say this, because if you look at from a parent's point of view, every interaction with the parents can be an experience. And imagine if parents gets the same experience digitally, just as the parents would have done in an offline way. The aspects of trust, the aspects of convenience, the aspects of understanding and the entire experience scale up for a parent. There is no actually standardized offering or strategy as customer experience requirement, because customer experience requirement are unique for every company and industry. Unfortunately, and I'm saying this unfortunately, that majority of the schools largely manage this entire process in an offline way. Either they do this entire process on an Excel, they use outdated solutions, and they manage the experience of a parent very poorly. There is no personalization in any communication. There's a lot of duplicity of data because a parent is coming from, let's say, a Google kind of an ad in the funnel. Now, the same parent, if walks into the school administrator won't have any idea that the same parent had come through my advertisement, my Google AdWord as well. The reason being, they are managing all the processes in an offline way, in silos, in an Excel. And hence, the entire experience, the personalization and all that actually becomes a challenge. And this leads actually to a lot of impact on the school. So if you look at broadly from an impact on school with respect to not managing the process end to end in a seamless, online, digital, transparent way, is that they actually provide a fragmented parent experience, multiple touch points, multiple logins. You have to log in for application somewhere on the portal. You have to go and pay fees somewhere else. If you have generated an inquiry, somebody is calling you. You have filled up the form, still somebody is calling you and asking you to fill up the form. Because things are not managed in a funnel, in a very seamless way, there is a lot of work which is done by schools in a fragmented way. And hence, the experience of parent is affected. Offline processes and no centralized dashboard to track the admission status or admission data of all the application also gives a lot of trouble to the administrators in managing all the inquiries and applications in a seamless way. Now, the other big impact of this is that there is a blind spot in the marketing expenditure. If you look at largely, if as a school, I'm spending money on Facebook, I'm spending money on Google, I'm spending money on Instagram to actually build my brand visibility and attract parents to my school, I cannot measure those campaigns and I can't do the ROI mapping, which actually leads to an inflated marketing spend. So whatever I'm spending, I can't actually measure what is the output. Now, in this entire process, since the data is offline, the data accuracy is a major challenge. The reason being, when I'm collecting these inquiries, the inquiries can be collected with whatever data points, whatever is inputted in that I would say process, and hence the accuracy becomes actually challenging. The other actually blind spot is that no real-time analytics and tracking is available to a school. That if I'm looking at enrolling 200 students for my nursery batch, and I'm looking at what I have spent with respect to my marketing dollars and what I have generated, I cannot actually do that on a real time because I'm not mapping my inquiries and my application in a centralized way. And I don't know which channel actually is giving me what kind of contribution with respect to my enrollment. To actually elaborate on that, I'm doing ad on Facebook, I'm doing marketing on Instagram, I'm doing marketing on Google. Which channel? Google is giving me better results or Facebook is giving me better results. So that is not mapped here because I'm not looking at data in a centralized way. The other big actually impact from a school's point of view is there is no bird eye view of the overall brand trend. Now, when we talk about a brand trend, we are saying that largely you don't have a complete visibility as a school on the parent funnel. You don't know what is the conversions with respect to different dimensions, like what kind of geography from where you are getting parent. So in the vicinity, what geography is giving you more parent, what kind of parents are applying to you, what is their profile, what is their background, what is their overall understanding of your school. You can't track all that because you have not centralized this, and you don't know actually what is your brand pull, largely with respect to comparing just the brand pull and the activities which you are doing with respect to spending money on marketing. And you cannot compare this year on year because the data is not centralized. You don't know. So during that time you are spending money, you don't know what is the ROI, you don't know your brand impact, you don't know what is the pull, what is the push. So it becomes challenging and actually a problem for schools. Now, this has a big impact on teams' productivity end to end if you look at, because all the teams are working in silos and there is no visibility, which is actually giving a dent to the productivity. Now, if you look at from an admission team's lens, they are doing a lot of application data work, but the data points are scattered across the system, and that hampers their productivity because they are doing something they don't know from a funnel point of view what has happened previous to what they have got with respect to application. Now, if you look at the counseling team, they are doing a lot of nurturing with respect to speaking to parent, attending parents who are walking in. But again, they cannot map the output because they don't know what happened to which parent. There is nothing which is mentioned or collected and stored in a centralized way. So that affects their productivity. Now, if you look at largely from a point of view of marketing team, they are spending money, they don't know the ROI. So how will they actually create campaigns and all that, which will help school to better engage and give right kind of experience to the parent? If you look at the finance team, once to some extent the enrollment is done, you are actually getting payments and all that in an offline way. So you are collecting check, you are actually asking parent to deposit money in the bank account of the school. And this entire experience is so fragmented that as a finance team, I have to actually gather data from various sources to compile how many have paid the fees, how many is spending. And largely from an owner's point of view or from a founder's point of view or from a principal's point of view in the school, there is no centralized reporting system which is helping the individual at that level to look at what's happening in admission, what's happening in marketing, what's happening in counseling, what's happening at finance end, largely what kind of campaigns we are running, what kind of inquiries we have generated, how we have actually looked at those inquiry in terms of translating them into applications. Now, all this leads to a limited potential mapping of the brand equity of the school. How the school is performing, that needs to be answered through data points. And you don't have a centralized mechanism actually to look at what data points are showing you as a school. We work very closely with our partners in the education ecosystem to understand their challenges and address them to offer better personalization and an experience-led transformation. When we say that, we feel that this will help schools to digitize their entire end-to-end journey of the parent, and it will help them to not only give a better experience, but they can actually come out and see that what is happening in their marketing funnel, what is happening overall to their brand perception, how they can increase their team's productivity, and overall the brand image of the school actually will go up if it's done in that regard. So what is our approach? And Ash, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Vikram. So Vikram have clearly explained us what are the major pain points that schools are facing nowadays. in managing their admission process. And I would like to answer all of these questions and all of these problems we'll try to solve one by one. So one of the major issue that Vikram have addressed is fragmented process, and there is no centralization of inquiries. That is what we are here for, inquiry management system. So what we are doing is we are providing you an inquiry management system where we are covering all the touch points of these inquiries. As we talked about multiple touch points like website, walk-in, email, social media, and multiple branding, offline and online activities. All these are currently being managed at either a point in a point system or in Excel or in notepads. What we have to do is to address all the issues is to centralize all these inquiries into one system and then start working on them. By this, there are multiple benefits that we get. First is that student experience improve. How does student experience improve by this? So if we are using different Excel sheets for different inquiries getting from different points for us, and different people, like a counselor is working on inquiries generated from social media, and a counselor is working from inquiries generated from branding activity, like offline branding activity. Now there is a very high possibility that the same inquiry is there in both the channels, and two different counselors or two different team members are talking to the same person. This basically creates a very fragmented or very bad experience for a student. So this will be eradicated, as there will be no duplicacy and there will be centralized system. After centralizing all the leads, removing the duplicacy, next step and a very major step comes for the team is lead nurturing. So now we know that we have an inquiry, and now we have to nurture this inquiry, as that inquiry can have a doubt for our school and the school can have a lot of questions to that particular person. So you have to get in touch with them, contact them, and at right point of time and start talking to them. Now, it is not possible for every counselor to just get an inquiry and start calling to them one by one. So we will be discussing in detail how nurturing, how the system, a proper system in place can help in nurturing for the schools. Now, when we have centralized the inquiries, then it comes for the nurturing, then comes application automation. What is application automation here? So currently what is happening, inquiries are getting stored at one place, application form is done at another place. Again, there is a broken process. There is a very high possibility that one student is going directly for application and not going for, like, they don't want to connect with counselor and they might have a doubt. So these are two separate processes that are happening. That is why we have an application automation, which is completing this whole process right from inquiry till the enrollment. Then is after application, what happens that they have to pay the fees, and then we have our own criterias. According to them we shortlist it, and then come the fee payment. So now let us go one by one and discuss it. So how the CRM, how the education CRM can help to nurture all these leads. So how NoPaperForms is doing is, NoPaperForms is first of all centralizing all these inquiry and then helping in nurturing. What is nurturing? First, we all have to understand. Nurturing is talking to that parent, understanding their problems, solving that problem, and then taking them forward. Now, when we are using Excel sheets or notes, what we are doing, when we have called that particular parent, we are talking to them, and supposedly they told that currently I'm in hospital and please call me after 2 days. Now, if you're storing that particular thing, that note or that follow up in an Excel, you will not be able to understand that when to call that particular person. So with the help of CRM in place, what you are doing, CRM will come and tell you that please contact this inquiry and talk to them, and then they will take it forward from there. So this is how you can create in NoPaperForms, you can create your whole whole history of that particular inquiry. Like when you had last word with them, what was the last word, how you have added notes, how you have gauged, you can gauge their you can gauge that where they want to go, they are very much interested, not interested, and then can mark the follow-up. So this strategic nurturing can help even in future terms. As
So,
Vikram also
just to add, sorry, Ash, just to add on that, that this inquiry centralization is the first biggest piece with respect to managing everything for your parents. And when we say that centralization means that whatever you are doing, a parent can walk in, a parent can come on your school website, you parent can come through your marketing campaigns, parent can come through your offline events. All these data points which you have collected of a parent, either in an online mode or on an offline mode, comes to a centralized system, which is the inquiry centralization system, which is our CRM. This helps you to understand that from which source, walk-in, school website, marketing campaigns, from which source the parents are actually coming and inquiring about your school. This also helps you as a school to actually nurture them by sending the right kind of information to the parent, and you can actually do that in a various way, which we are going to talk about in detail. But centralization is the main theme where you have to centralize, and from there on you work on it and convert them and finally enroll them.
Correct. Then we also talked about like how we are managing our marketing spends, which particular campaign was fruitful to us and which was not fruitful to us, how to measure it. Now we can only measure it again when we have centralized these inquiries. So you can also get, you have to basically map that if you have done this specific campaign, how many inquiries you have got from there, how many applications you got from there, and from them how many got converted into an enrollment. So uh, mapping like your investment from your inquiry is a small thing, but if you will be able to map your investment till your enrollment, you will be able to see a bigger picture that which particular campaign really worked for me, and that you can track it from here. Then now,
Just to add on that, see, when you are looking at your campaigns, it is very, very important for a school to give right kind of experience to the parent. So a parent actually inquired about your school from a Google campaign which you are running, or through school website. So instantaneously, if somebody is inquiring about the school, instantaneous response should go to that parent that you have received their inquiry and you are actually looking at that inquiry in deep and you will answer. So if you look at from a CRM's point of view, the instantaneous reply actually, as soon as somebody is inquiring on any of this your campaigns, they will get an instantaneous revert in the form of an email that acknowledging the fact that you have received the inquiry. This is very, very important because you have to give right kind of experience from get go, that when the parent is thinking about you in the stage where he's thinking that I'm going to shortlist this school. So when he's thinking in that direction and asking for some more information, how well, how easy you are making his or her life is very, very important with respect to providing that information.
right. So Vikram, I have one more question from you. So as we are talking about acknowledgement of the inquiry, so you also inquire at a lot of places and we get communication back. So what is the best mode of communication that you receive and on which you instantly see, or on which you, the one which you instantly notice? Like,
So honestly speaking, the mode of communication nowadays largely, and I'm talking about me in person, but other people as well, I've seen that WhatsApp is now become the mode of communication for everyone. SMS is kind of obsolete now. We use SMSs only to actually punch in our OTPs. Email is also kind, to some extent, I would say we do see our emails on a regular basis, but WhatsApp is something which actually gives me a personalized touch. And I know that if I have inquired about something as a user, if somebody is actually responding through a WhatsApp, it becomes easy for me to actually keep a track of it.
correct. So as per industry trends also, as we know that WhatsApp has the most high response rate or the open rate in the industry as compared to email, SMS and WhatsApp. And it is working great. And nowadays it's a trend for WhatsApp. People, everyone, almost everyone has one number on WhatsApp. They access it and it is instant for everyone. So in inquiry also, if while having this whole process like admission process, if WhatsApp is put into the place, it is easier for both parents and school to take it forward. So yes. Then next, is we coming? So till now we were talking about centralizing the leads, then nurturing them. So it is very much counselor dependent, and counselor is not 24/7 available there. So they have their own like shift. After that, these counselors are not available, and they will come the next day and pick up the leads and start working on it. Now, what if a parent have few questions about the school at night or at a holiday? How will they get answered? So for that, we have Nia in place. So Nia is an AI driven chatbot which very strategically answers all the questions of the parents. And yeah, so parents are also happy, and later on obviously the team can connect with them. But at that point of time when the parent is looking out for the answers to their questions, Nia is always there for them.
So it is actually very, very important that a school should also look at how to utilize the right set of technology which is available in the market. Clearly, WhatsApp and kind of chatbot have changed a lot of things with respect to user management and actually user engagement in various other industries. And we feel that digitizing the school admissions, these two features are very, very important for a school to ensure that they are engaged with their parents at the right and appropriate time and give them that kind of experience which is required.
Correct. Totally agree. So till now we were also talking about nurturing, that how a counselor can mark a follow up, mark a note, and WhatsApp them. But what we are trying to do here is we are trying to understand that how it can be made easier for all these counselors. That is why we have bought our mobile app. So what mobile app is doing, so all these things that we are talking about is there in mobile app. It is very easy for a counselor just to access all these inquiries on their mobile. They just have to go there, click on WhatsApp, and it is really easy. You just have to go there and click on WhatsApp, and you will go on your WhatsApp messenger, and you can have a chat with your applicant. Similar to that, if you want to call them, there is no need to dial that number manually. You can just go there, click on that, the number will come on your dial pad, and you can call it. Even that call will get logged, and you will remember when the last time you called that particular applicant. So via mobile app, what we are trying to do is we are trying to simplify this whole process, but with an ease, so that if anyone is on move, on lunch break also, even if there is an applicant is having a question, you can answer it very easily.
So the other important benefit, if you look at from a school's point of view, is that we have actually, I have also gone to many schools, so as Ash and all other team members. When you walk into a school as a parent, you will see that if during peak admission time, there will be a lot of parents talking to counselors, talking to front desk and all. And then you will be, as a parent, you will be asked to either sit or the counselor will tell you that we'll attend you shortly. In the meantime, if you look at broadly from a point of view as a parent, if you have any questions or anything which can be actually answered by someone, some of these things are very, very relevant from an experience point of view, that you know who's the parent because you have the data points and all that available. You also know as a counselor that what is the last communication I had. Now, I don't have to rush to my desktop or my laptop and check what conversations I had with this parent of related to admission. What I can do is I can just pull up my app on the phone, on the go. I can just read through that what has happened with this parent and what was the last communication I had. So when you meet the parent, you can simply say that I know that we spoke about this and this is what needs to be done. This also gives a very good experience to the parent, that the parent will relate to this fact that as a counselor, you know what all things have happened in the past and how to take this forward with respect to your candidature, your child's candidature. Now imagine if a counselor is on leave, what will happen? The second counselor can actually look at the log and actually pick up the conversation from where the first counselor had left with this parent. So it becomes imperative and easy to manage a parent who has come either walk in into the school or who has called again to understand something, because you can actually give that kind of experience to this parent, that you have all the information handily available, and you would be able to actually give that parent the necessary information which is required.
So the experience will not be broken. It will be a seamless experience for both parents and the school. Now comes application automation, one of the most important thing that we were talking. So as a school, as a part of process, every school have a process of applying via application form. Every school have their own application form in their with their own fields, questions that they want to ask, few questions they want to know about parent details, address, and so on and so forth. So that is what here is happening, that we have a customized application form builder, where if someone is applying through application form of the school gets a holistic view of what they have actually filled, what the parent have filled in that. They can add they can see all the details, they can download the documents at once, they can verify those documents, they can check those documents, and then can proceed further. Even there is a query management system, where if any applicant is facing any query with regards to the application, they can raise a query from there, and school will directly get that query, and they can address that query for them. So if you talk about, even there is an integrated payment gateway. So if you talk about the whole process, what earlier was happening, that inquiry was managed somewhere else and application was managed somewhere else. Now there is a holistic process where first an inquiry is generated, after that an application form is built, where every student gets a personalized dashboard, which is really great. Every student have their personalized dashboard. They can come and fill their application form wherever they have left. So supposedly I came for the school inquiry, I was interested, I filled the form, but I found like I had some work, I went away. Like after 2 months, maybe I got again stuck that I have to fill the form. When I log in into my system, I will start the form at the same place where I have left it earlier. So it is great. The experience is great for the parents also, that they are starting it from the same place where they have left the form.
In fact, to share my experience with the school applications, I'm a father of a 6-year-old. And when I looked at applying to schools, I looked at their process. Same, I went through the same journey of exploring and shortlisting and then applying. While applying, I was applying and filling up the form at around 10 p.m. at night for a particular school. I started filling up the form. 15-20 minutes, I would have filled up some 7-8 fields of the form of that school. And then I got a call or something, and I lost touch. I thought that I'll do it in the morning. When I actually started the application again in the morning, I had to start from the scratch, from the first field. Now, to give you a comparison, in our system, the system is actually designed in such a way that whatever you actually input. So to give you an example, if I have inputted the name Vikram Shah, the data will stay there and auto save there, which means that I don't have to actually come back and punch in that data again. And on the top, from a school's point of view, from a school administrator's point of view, you can also see that what percentage of form is filled by this parent. What it helps is, as a parent, my experience becomes very good now. So if I have to fill up the form again, if let's say internet connectivity goes away in between when I'm actually filling up my form and I was on the last field. In the current situation, whatever schools are using, largely you have to actually fill the form again in majority of the cases. But in our case, this entire system is designed in such a way that field by field, the data is saved. And hence, if there is any kind of interruption, you have to come back, and when you resume, you start from where you had left. So that's the beauty of the system. The other big factor here is that when you create a login or something in the current system, which is used by schools, you have to remember the password and all that for your login. And for some reason, if you forget your password, you have to auto-generate it, and somebody will send you an email and all that. That email will go into junk. Now, half of the time, I'm struggling to actually locate my password where I have to fill up my form. In our system, this is very, very smoothly driven. You can actually reset your password with respect to generating an OTP on your mobile, which is very seamless. You don't have to remember. You can click on forgot password and you can insert the OTP and you can log into the system. So that's the other piece which is valuable. The third important piece is when I put in my email ID in a normal school application system, everything related to communication comes in that mailbox, and that mailbox is cluttered with 15,000 other things which I am managing as a parent. In this entire application automation dashboard, we have something called my communication. So whatever communication has come from school, the school's communication are stored in my communication itself. So when you log in, you don't have to go to your mailbox separately and look for what all information has come from school. If you click on my communication button, you will see all the emails which you have got from school. So this becomes easy for you as a parent to manage everything end to end largely. The application process is a lengthy process, and then comes the selection process. Hence, there is a lot of to and fro during this time with the school and parent, and hence my communication feature actually helps you to manage entire communication between the school and a parent inside the application system.
Yeah. So one more thing that we need to discuss when we were talking about passwords. So there is a feature for parents called as direct login link, where if we are sending communication with a direct login link, the parent will, after clicking to that, parent will land directly on that part of form where they have left. So they can basically go inside the form and start filling up the form. So that also increase the conversion rate via communications.
Again, from an application point of view, if you have to look at our application form builder, it's a drag and drop kind of a form builder. So if as a school, you want to create your own form, it will not take more than 5 minutes for you to create your own form and just launch your application system. So it is seamless, easy, and very, very convenient for a non-technical person also to create a form. Otherwise, what happens largely in the school, that the school admission and front desk and marketing team is heavily dependent on the IT team for all these processes. Whereas in this entire end-to-end inquiry to enrollment system of NoPaperForms, everything comes as a self-serve and very intuitive for a user. So as a school user, it becomes easy for you to manage this piece without any dependency on any of your team members.
Right. Next part is post application process. So after application, what happens? After application, shortlisting process happens, that every school have their own shortlisting parameters and criterias, and they have to fulfill them and check that, and according to that they generate a merit list. So while filling up the application form, even in the chat section, I saw this question that was regarding document verification. That many a times we receive documents that are needed to be submitted back again. So what does this helps you to do is that when there is a when we have received a documentation, if you are not satisfied with the document, you can communicate it back to that parent that please submit a new valid document with following instructions, that these are the instructions that we need to. And there only in the system you can verify or reject a document and create your own shortlisting. It is really easy. It hardly take, like for an applicant, if you're just viewing the document, view it first, and if the document is accepted, just accept it, and if it is rejected, just reject it. So it's really easy, and time, it saves a lot of time and a lot of paper, like you don't have to print and check it every time.
The best
Then
part I think about the best part about this entire process is that it is digitally driven, paperless, and you don't have to actually print a lot of pages, and thereby you actually directly or indirectly saving a lot of trees. In fact, on a lighter note, what we teach our students in the classroom is that we should plant more trees. And eventually, if you look at the entire application and admission process, there is a lot of wastage with respect to papers and all that, because most of the stuff is manually driven. And hence, if you digitize this, you can actually save a lot of trees. And with digitization, you can actually save all your data and ensure that there is a continuity as well. In fact, if you have to look at your data points for last 2 years, you can go back and check on that as well in your files. You don't have to take printouts and keep them as a hard copies. So that is very, very important from our point of view.
Correct. So then after document verification, if the parent is interested and everything is positive for both the sides, then comes the final fee payment, that is called token fee payment, which gives the confirmation of admission. So as the admission process ends at the fee payment, that is what is done. A payment gateway, pre-integrated payment gateway is there, where school can, according to their criteria, accept the fees from the same dashboard of the parent and then take the process ahead. Then comes last part is that what happens is that school takes care after this, the everything is there maintained, like for record keeping, everything is maintained in ERP. So it's a very, like, ERP is a very plug and play kind of integration which is done, and all the applicants, shortlisted applicants data is pushed into the ERP to take it ahead and to for the record keeping purposes.
It is very, very important that a school administrator understands the difference between a CRM solution and an ERP solution. Largely, the entire education CRM from inquiry to enrollment is used to ensure that you actually bring in new parents into the system, where you manage their inquiries, you manage their nurturing of the inquiries, you manage their communication, you manage their application, you manage their shortlisting, and finally you enroll them. So this entire piece is actually happening in the CRM and application system. Whereas the ERP kicks into play once the parent becomes, or the student becomes your student, finally enrolled in the school. So from there on, the ERP journey starts. So from our point of view, inquiry to enrollment is complete when the final enrollment is pushed into your ERP system, and we have connectors available through which we actually push the data again digitally to your ERP system, so that you don't have to intervene and do any manual work with respect to transferring them into an ERP system.
So we have talked a lot about what are the problems, how are the Indian schools working, how is the admission process going, and what are the solutions. So here we are presenting a crux of this whole thing that we discussed. So we are talking here about one platform for brand discovery, marketing, and admission technology. So right from creating the discovery of the school, brand discovery, till the enrollment of the parent, all on the single platform, like one platform, and there is a solution for all. So if you talk about brand discovery, as we earlier we started with UniApply. So UniApply is a school admission app which is solving all the pain points that Vikram addressed initially for the parents, that parents are not aware about what schools are there in their locality and how they are taking, they are not aware that what schools are in their locality, what all facilities these schools are providing, what are the timelines, admission criteria, and everything. So UniApply is trying to provide all these information on a single platform to these parents. Then after this, all these inquiries are managed on NPF system, and then they are nurtured, converted, and then via marketing automation, it by time to time these all inquiries are covered, and so that we keep on in touch and then convert it into enrollment. Then comes auto scoring and merit list, automated fee collection, and then enrollment. So it is like the whole process and only one single platform for this.
So we are trying to revolutionize the entire admission process for schools. So from a parent point of view, whatever parent does with respect to actually uh, discovering a school till applying to a school, the entire process is automated in such a way that parents can come and actually discover a school on the platform. From there on, parents can actually inquire about whatever inquiries they have with respect to school. And school can actually in turn nurture them and ensure that they go on the bandwagon of applying to the school. Once they apply to the school, the entire selection process and post-application process is also managed in the same system from inquiry to enrollment. And it helps both schools as well as parents to manage everything seamlessly. From a parent's point of view, it increases their experience, their trust, their confidence, and the way school is dealing with them. From a school's point of view, you are managing everything where you can see everything in a funnel. It is very, very important for a school to understand and see what is happening with respect to their inquiries, their applications, and how it is shaping up for various classes. This helps them to actually manage this piece end to end on a single platform, which can help them discover their brand, help them in their marketing efforts, and with the admission technology, it powers them to do end-to-end selection of the students, of the parents who have applied to them for any class within the school. So that's broadly from a point of view of what we do and how we are trying to digitize the school admissions end to end from an inquiry to an enrollment funnel. So now we can open up for questions. Ash, would you like to look at the questions? What questions we
Yeah.
have got?
So there's this question. How do you keep a parent engaged and ensure that he doesn't take admission in another school or be on the lookout while we process the admission?
It's a good question, actually. And any parent would be looking at least 2-3 schools for their child admission, because there is no guarantee that wherever they apply, they are going to get admission. And hence, parent will look at couple of schools to 3 schools in minimum. In fact, if you have to look at from a Delhi lens, when a nursery admission opens up, on an average, parent applies to at least 12 to 15 schools, because there is the entire process related to lucky draw and all that, which happens basis the points which are given to you as a parent, depending on your application. So if you give right kind of experience to the parent from get go, from the time the parent has actually started looking for a school, your school, till the time you are engaging with the parent with the right kind of information, what he wants, what she wants, and nurture them in an appropriate way, there is a high possibility that parent will look at this experience aside of obviously the things which a parent look at in a school with respect to academics, with respect to extracurricular activity, with respect to the fees, with respect to the curriculum and all. So I would say that experience which is a seamless to a parent is one of the most important thing which you can actually provide from school's point of view.
One more thing I would like to add here, that if you want to keep that a parent engaged, so you actually have to engage with them on time to time basis. So if they have received application, you have received inquiry, at each touch point that a parent is doing with the school should also try to maintain that contact with them. Like they should either call them, should send them emails telling them more about the schools, more about the uh, results, or about infrastructure, anything of that sort, but you should keep them engaged so that they are not losing interest in the school.
The other question which has come is that one major challenge that we face is collection and management of parent documents. Parent upload wrong documents or submit faded copies. Is there a way to solve this systematically? Yes, Shalini ma'am, there is a way to solve this systematically, as shared by Ash in our presentation. If you look at it, that whatever documents actually parent upload, there is entirely a document verification process, which is a workflow which is available on our admission system. So when you click on that document verification process, you will be able to see the document, and you will be able to actually send a message to the parent from that system itself that this document is not valid because I'm not able to see the document. Either it is faded, or instead of uploading a Aadhaar card, you have uploaded PAN card there. So you can actually do that entire piece in terms of communicating with the parent within the system. So it becomes easy for a parent to look at it and resubmit the document. So that will save a lot of your time in terms of managing this piece, and digitally and systematically you would know that out of 400 applications probably which you have received, there are 20 applicants where the documentation is pending because they have uploaded wrong document or faded documents, and that is available on a dashboard. So imagine you can see all that on a click of a button. So that's the power of our actually inquiry to enrollment system.
I have this one more question. As a school, we mostly rely on offline admission process, and sometimes we struggle to close the admission at the end of the season. Please suggest when we can start our online campaign, Google Ads, etc., to generate good database which will help us in closing the admissions.
Very good question. And honestly speaking, through the Uni Applies lens, as probably most of our viewers would know, but for our viewers, Uni Apply, actually we are getting upwards of 10 million traffic for Uni Apply. And we have seen that parents actually start searching for school well in advance of the academic season. So to answer your question, if the academic season or the application for a particular school is, let's say, starting in October, so if you look at from a parent's lens, sometime in March, April, the parent will be actually activated in terms of looking at what all options are available. The entire journey related to explore school actually starts in March, April for a October kind of application season. So if you work backwards and see, close to around 4 to 5 months are taken by parents in exploring the school before the application kicks in. So you can actually utilize that time to ensure that you run a lot of marketing online campaigns for your audience and try and attract those parents and give them more information, nurture them during that time, because this time is available to you. And when you open up your application, you can just quickly translate them into applications.
I think we are done with all the questions.
So a quick round of the session, since we have actually taken the questions as well. We are discussing here with respect to digitizing the school applications. NoPaperForm has done a lot of work in the higher ed segment as well as in K-12 segment to streamline and digitize application processes for the schools. It becomes helpful for school administrators to go through this entire product, which is our one single platform, which helps you for building your brand, helps you for marketing your school, which comes with an admission technology end to end. So you can actually take the advantage of this entire system where from discovery, inquiry to enrollment, this entire funnel is managed in a way that for a school, it becomes easy to manage their audience year on year and give them a better experience. Look at a school more from a point of view of better ROI, better productivity, better teams efficiency, and a huge brand equity for a school, because it is very, very important for a school to give right experience to a parent who's become a parent for next 14 years. If a student has taken admission in nursery, he or she, the parent, will stay. If they are not in transferable jobs, they will stay your student for next 14 years. So we believe that as NoPaperForms will be able to deliver a huge value to those schools who are looking to digitize their entire school application and enrollment processes, and happy to have a conversation with respect to that. And we would request you to write back to us with your feedback and suggestions, because we actually love and we are very curious to go through those suggestions and all. So thank you so much for your time and actually listening to us and going through this entire process of how NoPaperForm is actually digitizing the school applications across India. Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much,
Take care.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.